During Finn's escape from the labyrinth at the end of the episode, The Hall of Egress, we hear Princess Bubblegum's voice deliver a message to him.
Hurry, Finn. At the seashell's center lies the cornucopia's smallest door.
In a prior video some time ago, I explored my interpretation of this episode's allegorical meaning, and, near the end, I discussed PB's phrase, symbolically rearranging the meaning into the following phrase: the smallest transition of great abundance is at the center of everything. However, I thought this was still a little too vague and inane for my liking, so I asked all of you to provide your own insights and interpretations into PB's phrase, and I got a myriad of amazing responses, so I'm making a follow-up video to bounce around a few more ideas based on some of the comments I've received. A lot of people pointed out that the gist of my rendition of PB's phrase does make sense, but holds a better and more digestible meaning if the word order is rearranged. I concur with the sentiment, and treating PB's phrase that way can essentially turn it into the well-known phrase, "From small beginnings come great things," or "From humble beginnings come great things." PB's phrase would then be a slightly more nuanced version of this general sentiment, since it's saying abundance, prosperity, and/or greatness can come from small beginnings that are at the heart of the matter, or perhaps at the heart of somebody's character if we're talking about personal change and growth. That first small yet critical step leads to an expanding pathway toward prosperity. I really like this meaning, and it seems like quite a solid interpretation of the phrase. Finn is being told to hurry and make that first small critical step. Some people brought up the undeniable allusions to motifs from Greek mythology, particularly those involving Daedalus. Daedalus was the creator of the infamous labyrinth that housed a minotaur and was escaped from using a trail of thread, and in a different tale, Daedalus solved the riddle of how to thread a spiral seashell. There's 3 elements right there that are involved with this episode in some way. I bet the motifs provided some inspiration to the concepts in this episode, but I'm not sure how well any direct comparisons can be made. I think the motifs were used as a starting off point, but the episode takes them in new directions and develops its own meanings that are rather removed from those in the original Greek tales. As one example, a recurring element in this episode is how the thread needed to be cut rather than to be followed, which is quite contrary to the Greek tales. I think one thing a good work of fiction can do is take common or traditional imagery and apply it in brand new ways or subvert the original context and meanings, and the Hall of Egress accomplished that really well. That being said, I'm not that well versed in Greek mythology, and if anybody knowledgeable on the subject can draw more direct parallels, I would love to read those. Some people brought up how the seashell center makes them think of a pearl, which is an interesting train of thought to pursue in relation to personal growth. The formation of natural pearls is actually a defense mechanism. It is in response to a microscopic irritant or parasite which, over time, ends up being covered in many layers of secretions, and a pearl is the result. This process can be analogous to facing hardships in life. The irritant is analogous to hardships or challenges, which while causing us distress, also lead us to develop, advance, and grow as individuals. In many ways, how we face and overcome challenges sculpts who we are as people. So implementing this root of seashell imagery can lead us to a somewhat different, slightly more detailed interpretation of PB's phrase, although different interpretations are by no means mutually exclusive. Finn has faced countless challenges as he has grown toward being a hero, but it's not external challenges that often pose the most pain and anguish. Rather, Finn has had many episodes focus on his own internal fallout after something tragic has occurred in his life. The smallest door may refer to those internal challenges that get ingrained in one's being that have to be addressed from within. PB's phrase may be referencing that the personal internal journeys we face to overcome hardships are the most vital component to attaining happiness. In this sense, the smallest door doesn't refer to a small step, but is instead descriptive of how these mental hang-ups are the most difficult to find and address at the source, but are what lead us to that cornucopia of fulfillment. Speaking of pearls and oysters, those words make my mind jump straight to a common proverb, "The world is one's oyster," which dates back to William Shakespeare. The proverb refers to how countless opportunities are available for a person, they just have to go out and grab them. I think it's decently applicable to the sentiment behind the phrase uttered by Princess Bubblegum, though the world is one's oyster packs a far more extrinsic inclination, since rather than leading one toward introspection as a facilitator of change, it's about altering the world around oneself directly, and with a forceful implication of that, since, you have to force that oyster open. However, we can turn it back into being an internal, self-focused message if we just reference the scene of Full Metal Alchemist. Which, by the way, referential jokes aside, Full Metal Alchemist is a really good manga, and everyone should read it if they haven't done so already. My final point of discussion will actually be a bit of a reach, but I think it's fun because I get to make a prediction based around PB's phrase. Some people mentioned how the seashell center makes them think of the sound of the ocean, such as when you put your ear to a shell, hence the seashell center. In addition to it being Finn's phobia until a few seasons ago, Adventure Time has used the ocean symbolically several times. Finn had a dream sequence in the ocean that could be interpreted as an identity conflict in the episode Billy's Bucket List, though this dream sequence deserves its own video, and I won't get into details here, which ended with the slaying of the Fear Feaster. And in the episode The Visitor, Finn has a dream that heavily invokes impregnation imagery, and it takes place under the ocean. This dream includes the Catalyst Comet guiding him to the location where his father crash-landed. Ocean imagery is often used to represent the depths of a person's mind, the link between the conscious and unconscious mind, the well of creativity, etc. In Finn's dreams, the ocean has represented his fears, but it also contained the cosmic knowledge he has access to that goes beyond his individual self. I think the ocean can be associated with Finn's vault, where he stores that which he is not able to deal with, reconcile, or comprehend at the current moment in his life.
Oh yeah, the vault. That's where the stuff I can't handle goes. Kerplunk.
And this includes his past lives and information those past lives had access to. That cosmic connection to the past is actually what I'm basing my prediction around. Somewhere within Finn's cosmic mind, which would be the seashell center, lies a hard to uncover, deeply buried shred of information about the past. This would be the smallest door. And this information is vital to make the world a better place, perhaps a key bit of information to save Ooh from some disaster, or something along those lines, and that's the cornucopia component. In short, PB's phrase could mean that Finn has to uncover a clue from the past that resides inside him to protect the well-being of Ooh in the near future. As I said, this is a bit of a reach, but the idea popped in my brain without me putting any real effort toward developing it, so I thought it would be fun to share nonetheless. If nothing else, it's still good for further brainstorming about this series. Only a small handful of comments were featured in this video to promote discussion, but there are tons of great ones in the comment section of my original analysis video. Not just on PB's phrase, but also on the Hall of Egress as a whole. There's even unique and interesting analyses of the episode that are completely different from how I interpreted the episode. Thank you to everybody who contributed their thoughts there, and I really do suggest people skim those comments to read some interesting discussion. If you'd like, check out my review of the Hall of Egress, or any other Adventure Time episodes I've reviewed for that matter. Thanks for watching my videos, and thank you so much for contributing your own ideas and thoughts in response.